Hello and welcome everyone, Vioroka here. We all talk about how effective a class is in their role, what do they excel at, and generally rank them by that. Which is a great way to figure out which class is the best option for you and your friends to reach your goals in the game. But what about the gameplay? How does it actually feel to play that class? After all, if you level and gear a character, investing a lot of time on it, but you figure out that you don't like how it plays, you may wish you were playing something else, even though your character is best at what it does. Let's start with the Protection Warriors and see how do they feel like to play and which kind of player they would be a better match for. Warriors' playstyle is the most reactive, busy and mobile one. They are much more in control of the fight than any other tank. They have many abilities that they will be using on timer, like Thunderclap or Demoralizing Shout, but they also have many abilities that require the player to use reactively, such as Spell Reflect or the ability Revenge, which is only usable after warrior dodge, block or parry an attack. You have by far the most active abilities to use, making it quite more of a busy playstyle. Shield Block, Devastate, Shield Slam, Disarm, Shield Bash, Thunderclap, Intercept, Intervene, Berserker Rage, Shield Wall, Last Stand. The list is longer than any other tank by quite a big margin. Especially abilities like Disarm, Spell Reflect, Shield Bash, Last Stand and Shield Wall will put you more in control of the encounters, as you can react to incoming damage quite effectively. And with abilities like Intercept and Intervene, you are much more mobile on the battlefield. When all these come together, Warrior is a tank that is much more in control of the battle, require much more focus to play, and they can really lead the fight like no other. The negative side of it is that it really does require more focus and work to play at a great level. It isn't really a great fit for people who want to just relax and play more casually. Relative to other tanks, while playing a Warrior tank is definitely more engaging, it is also more tiring. Let's continue with the Paladins. Paladins are kind of like the opposite of Warriors. They have not so many things that they can react and they are pretty immobile. Amount of abilities Paladins use frequently while tanking is quite limited for the most part. You basically have a stun like every other tank and a defensive ability that isn't really reactive by itself, Holy Shield. Rest of the abilities you use are Consecration, Seals and Judgment. Don't get me wrong, they are really strong and they have some really unique abilities such as Dispels and Blessing of Protection, and there will be times that they shine bright, but vast majority of the time there won't be a chance to really use them. Paladin playstyle is rather more like playing a battle mage. You use your abilities to maximize your threat by doing maximum amount of damage to targets. Deciding when to use which seal and judgment to optimize your threat and mana generation is also an important part of the Paladin tanking. You have basically just one way to react to incoming damage, which is extremely strong by itself, the famous bubble. But as it drops you out of the threat list, it has to be used really wisely with careful timing. Great thing about the Paladin class is that you can really feel like a damage dealer rather than a tank in fights with many targets. Especially compared to Warriors, it has much more of a relaxed approach to tanking. Of course you can make it more engaging with seal twisting and other mechanics, but in general basic tanking, it is much more easygoing without needing to focus too much, which makes it an ideal tank for people who want to relax while playing the game. Typically, it takes much more time to get tired as a Prot Paladin when you are doing a lot of dungeons in a row than a Protection Warrior. Downside is that, as you have probably guessed, it may get boring for people who are after more of an action while tanking and doesn't find seeing tons of small amounts of damage on the screen as interesting. And our last spot, Druids. Druids are the middle of the way when it comes to mobility and the focus needed to play. They are much more closer to Warrior in the way that they are indeed a melee physical fighter and not a battle mage. They have some active defensive abilities such as Bark Skin, which requires you to get out of bear form, so you must be careful when using, and Frenzy Regeneration, even though it heals quite a little for the raids. They are the only tank that doesn't have a short cooldown defensive ability like the Holy Shield of the Paladins. They feel more like a big bad bear trying to harm the enemies as much as he can, rather than a protector shielding the team. Feral Charge can be used to have some mobility and as an interrupt or immobilize. They don't use as many diverse abilities like a warrior, but they are more busy to play than a paladin, especially if there are more than one target to keep the threat on. Threat generation on the single target is on the easier side for the druids, which can get boring for some people, but on the other hand, the fact that abilities such as Maul and Mangle hitting quite hard can make it more satisfying for others. One thing that separates druids from the others, especially during 5-man dungeons, is that you have much more abilities you can use before the fight starts to begin the fight one step ahead. Not a direct tanking thing perhaps, but also being able to click a button and go full DPS mode with a completely different playstyle with cat form is also appealing for many people, especially if they are planning to be an off-tank. So there we go. To sum it up, warrior tanks are more active, energetic and in control of the fights. Paladin tanks are more laid back and closer to playing a battle mage, while druids are pretty much the middle of the way between the other two. I hope this helps you out, and feel free to comment down below if you have any other input that may help others choosing their tanking class in the Burning Crusade. Thanks for watching and have a nice one.